The 1980s saw perhaps the most significant transformation in the history of American automobiles. Throughout this decade, most cars in the United States became smaller, experienced significant reductions in engine size, and shifted from rear-wheel drive to front-wheel drive. Additionally, many beloved and popular car models were discontinued during this time. Here is a list of 5 notable 1980s cars that were cancelled but deserved to continue into the 1990s and beyond. Number 1. AMC Eagle.
No sports car was designed to conquer winter like this machine. Introducing Eagle SX4, the only sport machine that lets you switch from two-wheel drive to full-time four-wheel drive to get you through when the going gets tough.
The AMC Eagle, produced from 1980 to 1988, was a car that was truly ahead of its time. Despite its platform and styling originating with the 1970 AMC Hornet, AMC successfully kept the Eagle looking contemporary. The Eagle was generally well equipped, offering options such as leather seats and various power and convenience features. Initially, it came in several body styles: a sporty 2-door hatchback, a 4-door sedan, and a 4-door station wagon, with only the wagon lasting until the end of production. The Eagle featured a powerful 4.2-liter inline 6-cylinder engine, the same one found in the Jeep CJ7 and early first-generation Jeep Wrangler. Some model years also offered a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. What set the AMC Eagle apart as a forward-thinking vehicle was its advanced 4-wheel drive system, the Select Drive system, which was introduced midway through the 1981 model year. By the 1984 model year, this system allowed the driver to engage and disengage 4-wheel drive while the car was in motion. The Eagle boasted significantly elevated ground clearance for a car and handled well on the road. Yet, it was just as capable off-road as most 4-wheel drive Jeeps produced by AMC at this time. The Eagle deserved to continue into the 1990s, and after Chrysler Corporation acquired AMC, it should have provided the Eagle with the platform and styling updates it deserved. Instead, the Eagle brand was short-lived. Had the 4-wheel drive Eagle not been discontinued in the 1988 model year, it would likely still be around today, at least in wagon form, competing with the very popular all-wheel drive Subaru Outback wagon. Number 2. Buick Grand National.
A Porsche 928S, a Ferrari GTO, a Lamborghini Countach, and a Buick, a Regal Grand National.
While there was a resurgence of V8-powered rear-wheel drive muscle cars during the 1980s, Buick took a different approach. They introduced the 1984 to 1987 Buick Grand National, a modern 2-door muscle car powered by Buick's turbo 3.8-liter SFI V6. Available exclusively in a black exterior color, it became one of the coolest-looking cars on America's streets in the 1980s. The first Grand National, introduced in 1982, featured a 2-tone gray and silver exterior and was primarily an appearance package. Of the 215 units produced in 1982, very few were equipped with Buick's turbo 3.8-liter V6. However, it was the return of the Grand National in 1984, with its all-new black exterior and equipped with every performance part Buick could muster, that created the legendary Grand National, arguably the best muscle car of the 1980s. The 1984 to 1985 Grand National boasted 200 horsepower, giving it an edge over most of its muscle car competition at the time. In 1986, Buick added an intercooler, increasing the power to 235 horsepower and further to 245 horsepower in 1987. However, these ratings were significantly underrated, with the true output for both model years being somewhere between 275 to 300 horsepower. The 1986-1987 Buick Grand National was the fastest accelerating American production car at the time, a title previously held by the Chevrolet Corvette. For the 1987 model year, Buick contracted with ASC McLaren to produce a limited production, high-performance version of the Grand National called the GNX. Only 547 GNXs were built in 1987 compared to the 20,194 Grand Nationals produced that year. The GNX showcased the future potential of the Buick Grand National had it continued into the 1990s. Unfortunately, the Grand National did not return for the 1988 model year because GM canceled the rear-wheel drive G-body platform it used. Buick and GM should have found a way to keep the rear-wheel drive Buick Grand National alive. Number 3, the Cadillac Cimarron. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Cadillac excelled in researching and identifying what could become one of the fastest growing segments in the luxury vehicle market: compact luxury cars. Why are compact luxury cars so significant? Firstly, they can be sold in much higher volumes compared to more expensive luxury cars. Secondly, they attract a new pool of young buyers who are likely to purchase more expensive models from the brand as their income and financial well-being increase. This is where the front-wheel drive, four-door 1982 to 1988 Cadillac Cimarron came into play. It was designed to offer Cadillac luxury, technology, and quality to young buyers. On the surface, it was a brilliant plan. After all, Cadillac had successfully done something similar before with the smaller rear-wheel drive 1976 Cadillac Seville, which was partially based on the budget-oriented Chevrolet Nova's X platform. However, the Cimarron turned out to be a disaster. While the 1976 Seville did not resemble a 1976 Nova, the 1982 Cimarron looked like a rebadged 1982 Chevrolet Cavalier. Both shared the same GM 3-body platform and many common parts. Unfortunately, Cadillac haven't invested the time to give the Cimarron its own distinctive exterior styling to complement its leather interior. By 1985, a 130-horsepower 2.8-liter V6 became an optional feature, providing the Cimarron with the power boost it needed. The underpowered 4-cylinder engine was phased out by 1987. When equipped with a 5-speed manual transmission, the 2.8-liter V6 Cimarron offered a European touring car-like driving experience with very good handling and acceleration. By 1987, the Cimarron's exterior styling finally looked more a Cadillac than a Chevrolet. Just as Cadillac had evolved the Cimarron into the car it should have been in 1982, GM canceled its production at the end of the 1988 model year. Had the Cimarron been given a second generation with sleeker, more unique exterior styling and more power, it could have attracted many new young buyers during the 1980s and beyond. This would have made Cadillac a much more popular car brand today than it currently is. Number 4, the Mitsubishi Starion ES-i-R. Mitsubishi entered the US car market later than Honda, Toyota, and Datsun, but its market share grew rapidly during the 1980s due to its partnership with the Chrysler Corporation. This partnership, which began in the 1970s, allowed Mitsubishi to enter the US market by producing Dodge and Plymouth models that were rebadged versions of its cars. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Mitsubishi continued to produce cars for various Chrysler Corporation brands. Additionally, it began selling vehicles under the Mitsubishi brand name in the early 1980s. During this time, it introduced the rear-wheel drive Starion for the 1983 model year to compete in the American 2x2 sports coupe market. The Starion featured a 145-horsepower turbocharged 2.6-liter 4-cylinder engine, offering excellent performance for its era. However, it was the 1986 to 1989 Starion ES-i-R, the wide-body version of the Starion, that truly established the Starion's performance car credentials. Equipped with an intercooler version of the turbo 2.6-liter 4-cylinder engine, it delivered 176 or 188 horsepower, depending on the model year. The Starion ES-i-R was fun to drive, offered great handling, and was a fast car that outperformed many of its era's other performance vehicles. Not to mention, the Starion was one of the best-looking performance cars of its era, resembling a sleeker and more muscular version of the Porsche 944. Mitsubishi also offered different versions of the Starion under the Conquest model name, which was sold during various model years in the 1980s under the Dodge, Plymouth, and Chrysler brands. The Starion was eventually replaced by the front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive Mitsubishi Eclipse and the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. While these cars were successful, they lacked the character and the looks of the rear-wheel drive Starion ESI-R. Number 5. Pontiac Fiero.
Pontiac Fiero, North America's only mid-engine, two-passenger production car. One of the 10 best cars of 1984, says Car and Driver magazine. Fiero, fuel-injected, economical, and only from Pontiac. Pontiac builds excitement.
Much like the Cimarron, the Pontiac Fiero was cancelled before it could reach its full potential. When it was first released for the 1984 model year, the Fiero became America's first mid-engine sports car. However, to get the Fiero approved for production by GM management, Pontiac had to make budgetary compromises. As a result, the 1984 Fiero was not all the well-rounded sports car that Pontiac initially envisioned. The 1984 Fiero was a two-seater sports car that handled well and looked like a European mid-engine sports car, but was only equipped with an underpowered 92 horsepower 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine, and its steering feel was not very precise. In 1985, a 140 horsepower 2.8-liter V6 with multi-port fuel injection became an optional feature, giving the Fiero the much-needed power boost.
Give it a little rev, Bert. Nice.
Year by year, Pontiac gradually improved the Fiero, and by 1988, the GT and Formula models boasted impressive power output, handling, steering feel, and braking. However, sales had significantly declined from the 136,840 Fieros produced in 1984, leading GM to cancel the Fiero midway through the 1988 model year. The Fiero deserved to continue because a new, sleeker, second-generation model was planned for release in the 1989 or 1990 model year. This version would have weighed no more than 3,000 pounds and featured an available 3.4-liter DOHC V6, producing between 200 and 220 horsepower. This lightweight, high-performance Fiero would have given Pontiac a reasonably priced, genuine high-performance two-seat mid-engine sports car capable of competing with much more expensive European two-seat sports cars.